All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, and I'm definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with me this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. If everybody can hear me loud and clear in the chat, do me a huge favor. Drop me a one. Let me know that my sound is good as we begin the session this morning. I definitely appreciate it. All right. Reset Yukon. Right, man. Good. Like legendary squad there, man. Legendary squad. They pulled it out. Blowout. Right? Just like they did in that first matchup. So yeah, what a weekend for basketball. Great national championship game last night too. So we want to make sure that we start each and every morning with a strong foundation, making sure that we're accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing for any outcome. We want to make sure that we set ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, assuring a balanced approach to trading. We want to continue to trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. We always want to imagine our trade successfully materializing, and we definitely want to obey our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, especially during these times. And we want to make sure that we're never looking back or stopping once our trade has commenced, right? So I hope everybody had an awesome weekend um, and a happy Monday uh, as we look to try to figure out exactly what's going on with the stock markets, right? Getting whipsawed around, which is why I like to stay out during these times like this and just continue to be patient. A lot of craziness yesterday, right? There was a rumor that surfaced that there was going to be a pause on tariffs and the market kind of spiked, and then they found out that it was just a rumor, then it went back down. So it's like, man, have to search for clarity, right? During such times. So you got your billionaires and your hedge funds starting to speak out. Hey, we're approaching bear market territory. You had one, I forgot who it was that came out and said, like, everybody's saying we're headed towards a recession. We're already in one. Just a lot you see on Bloomberg. China vows fight to the end on tariffs as it props up markets. So things aren't doesn't seem to be going uh, as the administration planned, right? At least here in the beginning, Trump's tariffs on China collide to shock the 115 trillion global economy. Trump keeps investors on the edge with clashing tariff comments. He's telling people that they got to take our medicine or all types of crazy stuff. Uh, so what a mess, right? We can see here early stocks rebound a bit in Europe and Asia Pacific rebounded after Monday's sharp sell-off. Though trade tensions remained high, EC President uh, Ursula von der Leyen said the EU had offered Trump a zero for zero tariffs deal on industrial goods, but he rejected it. She warned the EU was ready to retaliate while China vowed to fight to the end. Stock at 600 was up about 1%, and the Nikkei 225 jumped 5.7%. Amid reports Japan may get priority in U.S. tariff talks. Stock futures in the U.S. were also in the green. Oil falls for the fourth session. Okay. Rather about a trade war, warning about demand and growth, right? Australian consumer sentiment drops to a 6-month low. We've been short on the Aussies. Dollar slips as trade tensions cloud the outlook, right? So we'll take a look at Forex, get a better read on our DXY dollar index slipped to around 103 on Tuesday, trimming recent gains as persistent trade uncertainties weighed on the broader economic and inflation outlook. President Donald Trump denied rumors of a potential pause in the sweeping tariff measures, but expressed a willingness to enter negotiations with trade partners. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent added that nearly 70 countries have reached out to the White House seeking tariff talks. However, tensions escalated as Trump threatened China with an additional 50% tariff if Beijing fails to remove its levies on U.S. imports. In response, China condemned the threats as blackmail and vowed to fight to the end to defend its interest, fueling concerns of a deepening trade conflict. On the monetary policy front, Chicago Fed Austin Goolsbee emphasized the need for hard data before deciding on the next move. All eyes turn to this week's inflation data, which could be pivotal in shaping expectations for future rate cuts. What a mess. What a mess, which is why I've pretty much kept my money, out of the market. I haven't done a ton at all, right? Yeah. So really nothing's changed, right? Nothing's changed, right? Still in the same mess. You've got hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman saying this is not what they voted for. Well, I don't know what he was voting for because everything that he said he was going to do, he's doing it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we are, right? We got, what was it, 20% correction, whatever it is, on the stock market. Just a mess. Here's the dollar on the DXY, right? We know on our daily, we're looking at this 80-20 type scenario on the daily. Right? We'll see how that goes. It's a ton of back and forth, a lot of whipsawing, but you can see where it's starting. The dollar is climbing as of late. Don't know if that's going to sustain itself. It's a day-to-day type thing right now, even though we do have a technical setup here with an 80-20, right? So it's projected to climb, but we'll see if it continues to do that, right? Tough trading waters right now. If you read all the reports, no, it's looking bearish, and people are hoping for things to slow down, right? From moving to the downside. But we'll see. So that's where we are on the DXY. Any questions on the dollar index? No? Reese, UConn, 12 national titles is crazy. That, that is insane. 12 national titles for the Lady UConn Huskies. Unbelievable. What a legendary coach. And it's showing no signs of slowing down either. He is. He is where he just keep rocking and rolling. I mean, and they're gonna lose Page, but man, he's got some good young talent. He's got some good young talent. So man, oh man, oh man, what a run! What a run! So yep, that's where we are. Today on the fundamental front, the eighth, not a ton happening. Yesterday, Monday, not a ton. Today, right? Later, we've got the official cash rate for New Zealand and the rate statement. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Let me check to see. Uh, uh, let's see. Tariffs. Meanwhile, domestic attention turns to reserve New Zealand's policy decision on Wednesday. So they're looking at a 25 basis point cut, and they've already been falling bearish. So the move comes amid easing inflation, slowing economic growth, and emerging signs of labor market weakness. So uh, there's also speculation that escalating trade tensions could lead to a deeper 50 basis point cut, with exceptions with expectations up to 100 basis point cut or further easing in 2025. So let's see what happens. Let's see if there's any shockage there. So the main projection right now is 25 basis points and cuts coming from the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. They're already struggling. We've already been bearish on the New Zealand dollar. Uh, let's see. Let's see, right? We're risk off, right? These commodity type currencies, right, have been struggling already. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Any questions on any of the fundamentals or anything like that? No? All right. So let's start out taking a look at the indices, right? Um as we're approaching what they say is bear market territory, right? We're there, right? We're pretty much there. If we start with the S&P, get the charts to load. Looking at this 4-hour chart, we're climbing, but you can see we're below the 50. We're below the 200. They're both pointed down, right? They are both pointed down. We got that crossover on the 4-hour a while ago now, and we're just bearish. So right now, until things change, you can see that spike yesterday where the market spiked and went crazy over the rumor. Um, but we are down, right? So you can see we tapped into that 61.8. So until something shifts with the policies, right? We read before, hey, they came in um, where the EU they offered Trump zero for zero tariffs deal on industrial goods. He rejected it. Until we get something different, right? I have to say we're bearish, right? We're gonna continue bearish until something changes. So any rally right now is just a rally to a high price to get short on the S&P, right? If we zoom out to the daily, right? Uh-oh, messed that up. But I mean, the bears are out. That's a complete move down. That's a complete move down. Took it out. All right. We zoom out, to our weekly chart. It's a complete move down. All right. So, you know, pretty much looking the same way across the board. So if you're into shorting, all right, you're looking for high prices, looking for confirmations, looking for trend line breaks back to the downside. You missed this now in a daily sweet spot, waiting for a move down. Yeah, that's the way. I mean, you gotta trade what you see right now. You know, the one thing, that's not even a clean trend line on that yet, but the one thing that's ruling the day are the tariffs, right? Nothing else matters. That's holding the most weight. That's what the market is focused on. So until something changes or shifts with that narrative, you have to think bearish, right? All the technicals are lining up bearish, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But if you if you're a buyer of markets, like you can see how a lot of your major market participants are screaming and shouting like do something about these tariffs, is because you know they would prefer to buy the market, right? But the bears have control right now, and that's where we are on the S&P. If we come through and take a look, right, the US 31 hour, same type of look, same type of scenario, right? You got whipsawed yesterday, then you saw the market try to recover and push back towards that high that was formed. But we're still within uh these AB boundaries, right? I like watching it from the four, you know, watching it climb. But that's where we are. I'm not I'm not into trading that long right now at this point, even though, you're getting some good low prices. could turn over, right? China's not budging. The two largest players, right? Not budging right now. So we'll see what happens once we get up in our sales zone. If I'm not I'm not really concerned at this point because of what's going on fundamentally with trying to time the bottom, right? So if this was to put it in a rally of, say, for example, if this was the low, right? If this established itself as the low here, for example, US 30, and it continues to rally from there and the market start to reverse and things get better with the tariffs, well, we got plenty of time to catch that move, right? We've had a major correction. We got plenty of time to test that move. I mean, to jump on that move. So no need to rush it right now, right? Because we could reach a high price and turn over and push lower. Okay, crazy times right now. Uh, Here's our Nasdaq. Same thing. They pretty much look identical. So if you're in that camp of shorting the market, be on high alert once we get to some high prices in our sales zone, right? So the Kai 225, right? That's the 1 hour, right? 4 hour, right? You got an 80-20 there on the four. That puts lower. We almost got that didn't close out. Just barely must have missed that extension. So we're climbing there. All right. So that's an 80-20 type scenario there. See if you can get it rally. 61.8 on the NAS, stop loss above the A. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's not a bad idea there, Reese. All right, drop you some sevens in the chat from there. Being prepared. All right, being prepared. See what's gonna happen. All right, see what's gonna happen. Take your shot. Take your shot. You know, I know you're using proper risk management. Take your shot. See what happens if it turns over. You know, what time frame are you setting it? Did you set your sell limit on, Reese? Oh, 4 hour. Okay. Yep. Yep. Not a bad idea. Let's see what happens. But you can see it's pretty much lining up identical. Look at your UK 100. Not much we could do. Not much we could do. The issue is here's the four, right? So if you're watching that from the four, see how high it can climb. The issue the issue is and why you've got a lot of your major your big time market participants going crazy is because when you get shocks like this to the market, I know you all have noticed going through your charts, you know, especially from a stock and an indices standpoint and things like that. Like, there's not a lot of hiding places. You even had gold, putting in a bit of a correction, right? And we talked about that a little bit. But putting in a bit of a correction because people are selling out of their gold positions to cover their losses from the stock market, right? So converting that to cash, right? So we'll take a look at that here technically, but there was like no safe place, you know, bonds, but that even, even with my TLT, right, and bonds, right, was bouncing all over the place because of what was going on yesterday with the news and the false message being sent out talking about a pause and things like that on tariffs. Just stuff is all over the place. So there's nowhere, if you like to keep your money moving, not too many places, you could go. Besides sitting in cash, but if you got large positions, sometimes the market moves so fast, it's hard, it's almost impossible to get out. So you end up waiting it out. Here's the German 30. Right? It's 1 hour, same look. Here's your four. All right, we got a 50% pullback there off that spike. But oftentimes, when you get those spikes like that, you get that long wick, sometimes the market will want to chase it and try to test that level again. Right. So 4 hour stochastic in the sell zone. So across the across the board, isn't that amazing? Right? All these different indices there. That's at 80/20 there. Look how create that shock right there, how that was, how that ended up redrawn on the smart trader chart here. But that shot up to the one on the Russell. And look at that, right? So maybe we'll move up. Um, they only trade ETF, but switched over to crypto for bounce. Yeah, they'll they got some smart folks. You're down 8%. It's just like you want, for example, you've got your S&P, but then you also have uh things like different products that track the S&P, but it might be like an equal weighted S&P. So uh during times like now, yes, it's down, but it's not down as much. It's not taking as big of a hit because the way they balance it. Um, so let's trying to find some ones like I know it's
It was a couple
I'm
of
sorry.
EFTs they still got on there. I have to go and look more in depth because it broke it down for me, the fund that they got me in, because they got it in my age group.
Yeah,
Um but it was like I started seeing more. They had crypto in there, but I didn't see a lot invested in crypto until over the last month or so.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm only at a 8%. I want to say in total of the two structures that I seen set up. I seen it switched over to something else, so I was gonna call to find out to get more information. But I'm like, thank God for the person over my account.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like they do, like they have, like they're smart. They know. They follow that. They follow the headwinds just like we do. But you could, yeah, like you could do like I'm pretty sure they probably have you like what is it like usually it's like S&P 500 equal weight like EW, so like XPX EW
Yep,
equal
yep,
weight to where it's yeah, so where you don't so what happens is during really the real good times and the boom times you're not seeing as much to the upside. It's just kind of like when you go from like if you poured into one stock heavily versus trading the ETF for that stock sector. You're not going to see during the when it mixes major bull runs, you won't see as large a return, but you're going to see the return just like, but you're not going to get hit as much to the downside either when the market turns over. So, they usually do a decent job of minimizing the loss. You have a loss, but it'll be minimized the way they get things shifted and the way they prepare for the headwind. So that's that. But that's the Russell 2000. So to me, it looks like, until we see otherwise, when we look at the 50 and the 200 moving average, and when we look at how the fibs are placed on the chart, it's looking like right now, and then like how you see on some of these where they're coming into like these are major levels, like this 1901 is a monthly level, and you can see where it got rejected at, right? At that monthly level. So to me, it seems like we're setting up to make one more run to the downside, but fundamentals over technicals, and he can post something on Truth Social or X and things change, right? So just be careful, right? Set your charts up, monitor your charts. Like Reese, he said, "Hey, I've got my sell limit set um, on the Nasdaq, and take a shot at it, right?" But you can see how they're all setting up and looking the same. We go to the indices. right? Uh, not the indices, but the commodities. I'm sorry. We go to our commodities as we have, some growth concerns and things like that. We see here on the 1 hour oil, right? Hit that D extension. So we're kind of hit the 1 hour D extension. We're closing in on this daily D extension. So it's just a matter, of whether or not this is the 1 hour chart we're following, whether or not we push to a high price and then short to that, to that level, or if we hit that daily D extension first, is the question. But hey, the bottom line is uh that's the daily look, right? The bottom line is we're bearish. We're bearish, right? Demand issues, demand concerns, bearish on oil, right? So we look for pullbacks and continuations. Here we are on gold. We were discussing this, right? And we were trying to figure out um, what happened. Hey, got gold selling off a bit, people taking profit, cover their losses, right, from other assets. And so you saw this correction. And so the question was, did we quite get a full 80-20 move? Does the market, because we're still major risk off. We know gold is a major safe haven asset. We know uh, that your major market participants are still piling into it overall, right? Still, you know, you still have some central banks holding rates. Reserve Bank of New Zealand is expected to cut rates. So we're still kind of in that type of environment, but also a risk-off environment. So do we get a deep correction? You can see here we're closing in on this 50 moving average, and we're at this 236. So do we get a bounce from there? Do we form a low? Do we bounce from there? Or do we continue to push down, right, on gold? We'll see if we be able to break it at 50 moving average, which is right on that trend line. Then we could see further declines in the correction on gold. But overall, right, overall, we're risk off, still looking for gold after this correction to continue long. So we'll see. That's just where we're at. If we go down to let's go down to the one, take a look at some things. Um, run our fib from the top, right? 80-20 zone on the one. Everything's choppy, everything's messy. So maybe we continue higher from there on gold. But that's where we are, right? We're still in a bit of a correction phase on gold, silver. All right, we had an 80-20 pop in there on the one. Crazy spike up. Now it's moving sideways, which oftentimes occurs when you get a huge candle like that. Um, but not a whole lot, right? You got to be concerned about demand, right? You see this move to the downside. So if we push to a high price, do we make another run short on that? But everything across the board has been impacted. Stagnation, yes, yes, right? But we're structured to the downside on almost assets. That was an 80-20 play though. Not gas, right? We came down to this 4 hour, ran that fib to the top. From the top, we did hit that extension, pushing down, right? And so we may continue uh bearish, right? On that guy. I know that's a mess there, but we're not quite to that daily 380, 382 yet. So we'll see what happens with this nat gas as we got a bit of seasonality, right? Kicking in on that. Do we hold and make another run up once we hit a low, or do we continue to run higher? A lot of unknowns right now. Just a lot of unknowns. But as of right now, right, that continued to push lower on gas. But this is that daily look, right? That has been a nice 80-20 swing. Right? We had to kind of read the data and figure out what is there any possibility for that to make one more drive to the upside? What would cause it? Right? Kind of sitting on my hands with that one right now. Copper, Okay. 1 hour, 80-20 zone, kind of just moving sideways though. Everybody. I know. Okay. We know our commodities shifted to the downside, right? Demand concerns. Okay. So this is where we are, right? 80-20 zone, we got an initial reaction, but it's since pushed sideways. It's holding at this weekly level. Maybe, right? That's where we are. That's where we are on copper, right? And commodities. Not a not a ton. Not a ton at all out here. Any particular pairs that you guys want to take a look at before I continue on? Anything that you all are actively trading? Yes, you are correct. This is exactly how it was moving when COVID hit. Oh, the Aussie yen. Okay. We'll take a look at that. Right. I am out of it right now after that move on the 4 hour hit the extension. So you can see we're recovering. Here on the 1 hour though, they did have a 80-20 play out that spiked and hit TP1, you know. The VIX hit 60. Whew. Yeah, it's getting up there. What do you say the establishment during COVID it was 85, right? 85 is what was can't remember who posted that when we were trying to figure out what was the high during COVID. 46 last night. Yeah, Reese. Yeah, yeah. Appreciate it, Reese. 85. So it's up to 60. So I'm not necessarily looking at, to to buy right now. Prices are getting super low, if you're long term, investing. You're at some low price on some good low price on a lot of stocks, but haven't really pulled the trigger yet. Would love to see if it makes one more push down, but we'll see. So that's where we are on the Aussie yen, right? We got a pullback this 1 hour. We did hit TP1 on that 80-20 play. That was fast and sharp. Um, again, it's one of those things that's turning over now, at least on the one. Let me go to the four, see where it's at, right? So your 4 hour, you can see where we could have a potential for a higher move up, but you already have a 382 on that. Kind of hard to tell. That's why your rules are important, right? So for me, off this 4 hour chart, it's simple. Like even if I wanted to short, I wouldn't be doing it now. I needed to move up into my sell zone. So that's a quick look, quick scan, and just keep it moving, right? Because besides that 80-20 on a 1 hour, if you're looking bearish, we're not where I don't have it where it needs to be yet in regards to price. So that's the Aussie yen. UCAD, right? 80-20, still in play. Right? I can see that making a move there on that. We got a decent pullback on this 4 hour. Right? We got this one drawn up. Right? So the edge of our buy zone there, I can see that making a good push up to the upside. So that one's still in play. That was still in play for a push higher. I can see that when you think about the two currencies, everything that's going on. I can see that making a push. So that's a good one to keep an eye on. You might already be in it slightly up after the pullback. So that's the 1 hour chart on the UCAD there. Um, 15 minute. Right? There's that pullback. That's where we're trying to get 143.40. See if we get there. All right. Uh, Vanessa, she's looking at Meta. down. Let me zoom out and get the daily on that. Look at that. Everything just collapsed, right? Hit the 118 level, just collapsed. Uh, Four bearish. Um, Meta just had a settlement. Mm. Done that. What time frame are you looking at for that? For that for Meta
Morning. Looking at the 1 hour.
on a 1 hour? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do I have that high right on that? Let's see.
That's how mine's look.
That's how yours looks. I gotta let me see.
Yeah.
Let's see like that. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what happens, right? So what's that? 513. I mean, listen, at some point, everybody, we know we know how to put our investor caps on. At some point, right? If you've got some cash stashed, you know, uh, at some point things will settle. And if you're looking only to buy, right? If you're looking to buy, the market's going to give us some good prices to buy. If you've got a long-term investment account, you've been looking to get involved on a lot of these stocks, right? These well-known stocks. The companies aren't going anywhere, right? We always keep that in the back of our mind. Like these companies, a lot of turmoil. There's been a huge shock to the market now.
Mhm.
But when you hear of, like people like Warren Buffett, investors going to cash, right?
Mhm.
And selling out of their positions. And they're not gonna sell out forever. They're gonna sit in cash and then they're gonna do what? They're gonna buy, right? And so we have the opportunity to do the same thing. So once all the dust settles, at some point it will. The market will rally again. These are strong companies. These are strong companies.
The
So what's your
50
what's your
minute.
what, what's your thoughts on Meta? Donna?
I definitely gonna try to buy it. 50 minutes has a 80/20 now. It
Mm,
did close that gap, but we'll see if it pushes higher.
yeah, you saying the 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, off the high. So yeah,
Mhm.
oh, I see that. I see that. So yeah, I like keep just hey, sometimes our only job is to sit back and just monitor what's going on and jockey for position. That's it.
And I wanted to
It's,
add, I have to go back and look, but the same day when I had brought up Meta, that later on that night, they have like a 20 million, 25 million settlement to pay out.
Mhm.
I want to say it's with Switzerland. I have to go back and look. But I don't know if they finished court proceedings on that. So
wow, yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted
I
to
have to look
add
that
that
up.
in. Yeah, because I wanted to buy too. And I did drip a small position in, but of course, that was a no-go. But just it's a they supposed to have another announcement, so make sure y'all check that out.
Yeah. And you say, what did you say, 25 million?
It's like 20, 25 million. It's with it's I want to say it's with Switzerland. I
Okay.
have to find the article. I lost the article, of course. But I have to find the article again because he was in court and the day that it was like convenience. It was just a convenience you wouldn't have noticed because the market was already dropping down anyway. So it's like it's not being talked about.
No, for 25 million, that's a drop in the bucket for them. You know what I mean? So uh, we'll see what happens. What happens there? Yeah, like you said, it's definitely there, existing and not being talked about for sure because of everything else that's going on. But it is there. in the background. So and that's bearish. The extension hit. So, you know, see, interesting times, right? We're not gonna miss. We're not gonna miss everybody. We're not gonna be patient. Not gonna miss the spot. Just say for your long-term portfolios, things like that. Not gonna miss the opportunity, right? If you missed it during COVID, you know, if you missed it the last time you had, a 10-15% correction, right? This is beyond that now. And so there will be opportunity. There will be opportunity to get involved. It's life-changing, right? It could be life-changing. So remember, these times and what's going on, right? Because it's a major milestone in history right now in regards to the markets. So be patient, right? Here's Amazon. All right, we broke this range to the downside, gave us a false break out there. And so we'll go to the daily, right? So do we tap back in. What is that? 151.67. So now that we've gotten these major moves, we can start eyeing up some things in regards to our levels. You higher time frame levels. What could the market, what are other market participants paying attention to? All right. Just clean your charts up so that you see things clearly. Okay. Is this what was this? This was August 2024. Did we hold at that level again on Amazon? Okay. I know I'm still getting packages at my door, right? So, you know, I don't think it's going anywhere. This Tesla move here on the daily, right? Turned over, right? We're headed towards a death cross there. 50 crossing over that 200 daily time frame. It's holding at that 200. Right? It's a daily chart. Tesla 125, Tesla even 140. Right? I sat on the sideline, but if I know the Bears have been waiting for a long time for something like this to happen. So Bears are in the money right now. Are in the money right now. But eventually it'll turn around. Okay. So that's where we are on Tesla. Take a look at Apple. Move everything out to the daily. Get that in that 80-20 zone, eh? And I hit that weekly level and collapsed. So just patiently wait. So we are on Apple.
You heard about that, right?
What?
They said the next iPhone might cost 3,000
I bet. Yeah.
because of whatever. I forgot the name of the company. I was reading over the weekend and I was sick, so I'm just getting on my feet. So I apologize for it not being prepared. But it was like a lot of stuff I was sitting there reading. It was like, who get the next iPhone? It's gonna be about 3,500 because it was some deal that they was getting in, and I want to say it had something to do with the chips. It's Apple, um Nvidia, and it's another company. They are, I guess, with some company and some chips. And if they can't, and I want to, is it in Canada? I want to say it's in Canada. Um, but if this deal falls through, yeah, the iPhone's gonna be going up to like 3,000 and stuff like that, rumored to be. But so
Yeah, no man.
it's a major MacBook, which I found funny because Best Buy got MacBooks for sale over the weekend. And I said,
I bet.
I guess this would be the time to market, sales for MacBooks and Apple products because whatever this deal that's up in the air, everything about to go skyrocket.
Well, we're gonna see. We will see. I just need my phone to just keep working. All right. We need to keep working and don't drop it. So this is Walmart, everybody. All right. So we're getting a reaction. Uh, but not too strong of a reaction, right? Um, it's turned over completely. Right? That was making a good run too on Exxon. Not anymore. I was making a really good run. So for right now, pressure to the downside. And don't forget anything. It's really ranging. But beautiful evening star here. Decision, indecision, decision off the top. Right? 786 pullback. That hit the extension. So we need a reset there on the daily. Look at that, man. That just rallied to a high price and collapsed. Broke the range that we were seeing on a lower time frame. Hit a high price and turned over. Hit 120 and dropped. Mm-mm-mm. We're on the opposite side of the range now. That's it. That's all I have. That's all I have, everybody. Not a not a ton out here. Some of the this Swiss yen. I took forever that I actually that closed it out before it hit the TP, but just because of what was going on. But that Swissy kicked in and that finally hit, ran through TP1 actually. So that one finally played out, right? But that's just a lesson in patience and how it took forever, but we eventually got to the target on that Swiss yen. But that's all I have. Anybody else have anything out there before we close out the session?
No, we're on for Saturday for stock options. So I
You said
will,
we're on?
yes.
Sounds great. I cannot wait.
So I
Cannot wait.
will post in the community some directions to obtain their Think and Swim. For people in London, I don't know what they'll use, but whatever equivalent to Charles Schwab, I guess.
Okay. Well, we are looking forward to it. I appreciate you posting on it and helping people out. So thank you so much. Something I've definitely been waiting on. I can't wait for Saturday.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome. Thank you. Well, that is it, everybody, for today's session. Continue to, watch the markets. I'm not, I need to be because of the back and forth, but I'm not on Truth Social, on that platform. But you never know what's going to happen today. That's all I'll say. So keep your eyes on the fundamentals, right? We know where we are technically. Keep your eyes on the fundamental for any type of major changes. So with that being said, everybody enjoy the rest of your day. See you tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.